Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Today, I'm going to talk about the full moon in Aquarius, which is on August 22nd. First off, we're going to cover what it means collectively, and then we'll look at what it means personally. And I'm really going to focus mostly on the personal because that's what I like to do. That mundane astrology for nations and countries, not my gig. I'm a Gemini. So I want to talk about what's going on for us. So let's get started. I'm going to pull up my notes, make sure I don't forget anything. And when I'm ready, I will share my screen with you. So, if you've been listening, this is the second full moon in the sign of Aquarius, July 23rd, and now August 22nd. So there's like bookends. And so we really are focusing on the Aquarian energy. It's quite strong these days. Saturn and Jupiter are both retrograding in that sign right now too. And the day before this full moon, the planet in charge of the sign of Aquarius, which is Uranus, has gone retrograde as well. It'll be retrograde through into first week of January. And so a lot of these things, so this is what we're feeling and seeing in the sky. I tried to do this a couple of days ago and even yesterday, and which was the 15th and the 16th. It was to the energy. Oh, sometimes it's just too much. And I don't watch a lot of news. I read what I want to know, but it just got overwhelming. I just did a lot of nature stuff. So I am late at getting this out. So if you've been waiting for bated breath, here we go. If not, here we go anyways, right? So when we have the full moon in Aquarius, again, our focus is those humanitarian things, but it's also focusing on, breaking away from these old patterns and these old cycles. And it's been, we're having some struggles with that right now in the world. And to me, my opinion, the way I see this is this full moon is at the final degree, so 29 degrees of two fixed signs. The sun's 29 Leo, and the moon is at 25 Aquarius. When we have planets that make something significant, which this is at 29 degrees of fixed signs, it brings things to a head. We can really feel the stress and the tension of it. For example, if you're born with this, if you have 20 planets at 29 degrees, especially in the fixed signs in your chart, you're going to be throughout your whole life working on things about completing. So you're feeling like you're always tying up loose ends and completing things. That's what that final degree represents. It's the culmination of all the numbers before it. And so it just gets to this point where we have to finish something. And it does feel like this level of stress and anxiety that something's about to give, right? And that's what it feels like if we're born with planets at 29 degrees. And if you are born with planets at 29 degrees, that means the sun and the moon in this full moon episode will be making some sort of connection through aspects. So that means you're going to be impacted as well. I have a planet at 29 Sag, so this one's easy for me. So it doesn't mean it's hard or easy, but it shows that there is something culminating and something coming to a head. It may be that for you, it may not be that for you, but anyway, again, collectively, it's happening for everybody. So with both of these planets fixed, the sun in Leo, that's fixed fire. So that is all about the ego. That Leo represents the ego. So people really diving into that ego feel, right? Some people will be feeling quite a lot, very egotistical. It might look that way, but it can also be a sense of creative action. There's a ton of ways that can play out. So the other thing is with the moon at the final degree of Aquarius is fixed air, and fixed air is, I've got a thought, a way of thinking that is stuck in my head. Let me grab my notes here. That is stuck in my head and I can't get rid of it. And so we're being pushed to see things differently. There is some kind of reckoning that's happening right now. And as I've recorded this, it's only been a few days, but Afghanistan has imploded. Haiti is in an absolute natural disaster, but it's also a political disasters as well. And so it floors me. It hurts my heart when I see this, because the energies of these fixed energies of Leo in the fire and the ego, and then the Aquarius, which is about, that humanitarian energy and, trying to do things that are really good for the collective, is really playing out in the news in the world today. And it's even more division than ever, politically and in all the ways, honestly. These big global themes of Leo, the tug of war between Leo, that ego drive, and the Aquarius energy, which are humanitarian needs. And it just seems to me that, we've sort of taken a step back. We've lost some ground right now, especially in those humanitarian endeavors at this point in time. Ooh, it's a lot of work. And to include, again, the Uranus being retrograde, that's in a whole different place. That's like at 14 degrees of Taurus. Actually, I'm going to go take a peek. It's 14 degrees of Taurus. With that being in that position, that has a lot to do with us focusing in on, what it is that we need to change and what it is that we need to embrace. Because all of this Aquarian energy and Uranus involved, we are not, change is regular, change consistently happens. And if we're fighting against that change, then, life is going to feel very uneasy and very stressful. So I'll leave that piece there. We're going to park that now. So there, again, a lot going on in the world, as you very well know, but change is needed. Change is always inevitable. And sometimes we take steps back before we can figure out how to take those steps forward. And again, let's look at now where this is for you. I'm going to grab that. Give me a second. So let's resume. I wanted to make sure I hit pause so I could read my notes, make sure I was talking about everything I wanted to talk about. And that's good for now. I want to move on to the personal pieces of this. So you're going to find out where this is in your own chart, just like last month. Many people reached out and email me with your birth info, nhastrologer@gmail.com. And I will tell you where this full moon is, just like last month. And you can take notes here and mark it, and you can tell what it's all about for you and what house it's in. And if you have any astrology books, you'll be able to, if you're a student of astrology, you'll be able to tell where it is for yourself. But just ask if you need that info. So with the full moons are always showing us what we're being made aware of. And we need to pay attention to that, because the full moon has all the cards are on the table. The sun and the moon are straight across from each other in the sky around us. We're able to see everything. So pay attention to that sector of your chart where this is playing out. So what house is this in? If you do whole sign houses, then it's going to be in the same house it was in last month. But I use Placidus house system. If you use anything but whole sign houses, it may be in a different place than the one on July 23rd, the full moon on July 23rd. So again, look that up and investigate and see what it is for you. I'm going to go through all of the houses in just a moment. But I also want to throw some other dates at you. You guys know I like to work with the lunar gestation phase. And that means, every new moon starts a new 3-year cycle. Every 9 months, we only use 4 phases in this system. Every 9 months, we start with the new moon. It's in a certain area in the zodiac within 2 or 3 degrees of each other is the new moon. 9 months later is the first quarter. 9 months after that is the full moon. 9 months later is the last quarter. And then 9 months, we're back to the new moon. This work is the work of Dietrich Pessin, if you want to research it yourself as well. It's phenomenal work. She did an amazing work on this. I love this system. So where does this full moon resonate from? It comes from the new moon that we had on February 23rd, 2020. Yep, right when the pandemic was getting started. But things weren't shut down here yet in the US, but it was going strong. The first quarter relating to that was November 21st, 2020. Made a mistake in my notes. I need to fix that. It was not. So it was November 21st, 2020. So you're going to want to see what was initiated in February 23rd, 2020, and then what was coming to your attention relating to that same thing, whether you set goals or not, or things that happen. I'm going to give you an example in a minute. November 21st, 2020, you would need to do something relating to the goals that you set at the new moon, February 23rd, 2020, new moon goals or intentions or things that begin that we don't know about, because the moon is dark. A lot of things begin then. And that would be my example. But now 9 months later, here we are today. We're at the full moon on the 22nd. And that's related to those other dates. So now that we have this full moon on August 22nd, we're able to see fully, most likely, what is the culmination of those other dates, the cycles that we began. So for me, this is an example that just when I look back at it, it floored me, because sometimes when you're deep into stuff, you don't look back, you don't look to see what's happening. So in February, just a few days before this new moon, my father passed away. And so that's been a while. But one of the problems is like, if I'm executor and I have siblings and my mom is still alive. Well, my dad did not have the mortgage in my mom's name. It was only in his name. So he passed away. That's a problem. So, and then of course, all the executor things I had to do, but the mortgage in the house where my mom lives and my couple of my siblings are, it was important for me to pay attention to that. And I think that's what this might be for me, my own personal story. So that's what happened. But, you wouldn't think that a person passing is a new beginning, but it is, especially for us who remain. And so 9 months later in November, I just kept paying the mortgage. I didn't tell the bank. We went immediately into shutdown, not even a few weeks after this new moon, and about a month actually after this new moon. But I was too busy with the immediate processes. I never told the bank he passed away. But then all of a sudden in November, 9 months later, and it was around this quarter moon, November 21st, just before Thanksgiving, they messaged and they said, I was power of attorney for him too. They were like, we need to talk because, there's a mortgage due. And I was like panicking. So I had to do all this paperwork, the routines, and take care of everything. And I've never owned a home. So I went through refinancing this home so my mom and family members have a place to live. And it all, thank God for the credit unions, because they really do work with hometown people, and give them a shout out. But so that was going on. So now what's happening now? I don't know what's happening now. The full moon isn't here yet. It's coming, but it's been 9 months since the house got refinanced. It's in my mom's name and everything just seems all hunky dory. So maybe I'll let you know next week when I do another forecast. We'll see. So I don't know what the result is yet, because we're at the full moon, but not quite. I'm almost there. So we can see. Could just be family dynamics, and it might not have anything now to do with, or my responsibility, my feel and the responsibility of the family. Maybe I can just say, oh, I'm glad that's over with. I haven't really had to do anything for a while, but we'll see. Stuff comes up. And maybe it's just my own internal work. So if you want you want to work with that process with me, you can get a hold of me and we can do sessions and we can work that out. So that's my big story. All right. So let's look at the houses and see, we'll just do it briefly. And again, you can go deeper with your own work, but I can help you with that too. And we tend to do that. I will do this sometimes live for my Patreon membership, and you're welcome to come and support me there, even if you can't join me live. That support helps me to continue to do free content like this. So I would appreciate that, that help if you're so inclined. All right. So, but hey, I never even showed you the chart. I forgot to share the screen, but that's all right. You got to look at me the whole time. Woohoo! I have nothing in Leo, so it feels weird to say that. This is what the full moon looks like in my location. I am on the East Coast of the United States, and that's what it will look like. It will be just after sunrise, so we won't see the full moon until later that night, but it'll be different for you depending on where you are. Further west, I'm on the East Coast of the United States. If you're further west, the sun will be below the horizon and you'll get to see the full moon just as it's setting. This over here is east, this over here is west. And so those are the major connections. So you can see 29 degrees. The moon is with Jupiter. It's a few degrees. It's a separating aspect to Jupiter by 3 degrees. So it is still, Jupiter still has infused, the moon's infused its energy into Jupiter and vice versa, just a few hours before this full moon. So that would also expand that awareness around those Aquarian qualities, which is, what am I thinking? I'm going to recap. What am I thinking? Where may I need to break out of irregular habits and regular patterns? What can I release and let go of? Because that's full moons are that too. But and what will I take forward into my next phase? So that's what those things are about. So look and see where it might be for you. This is another wheel. That's another wheel. It's another wheel, I guess. I don't have the chart up. I thought I did. Hold on. Let's go back. One more time. This is what a wheel looks like. There you go. I went the wrong direction. This is what a wheel looks like. Of course, this is the equal houses. Everybody's chart is different. Again, you know, as you can see here, the houses are all different places, different zodiac signs. You can see in this chart, for example, the full moon is in the 6th house. All right, so find that for you. I know that might be a little too much, but if it isn't, go for it. So if this full moon in Aquarius is in your 1st house, this is the area of course, self-awareness and outward appearance. You've got Aquarius rising maybe. And so that would be, you know, that unique individual who comes off as highly intelligent and very smart. So if you have it in that 1st house, that area, again, about you, I am, self-awareness, that outward appearance. If you have it in the 2nd house, that area is our relationship to substance, right? It's the things I have, my own personal resources, money, possessions, what I value, my skills and talents that I use to earn a living. And so that full moon in that sector will highlight those things for you. If it's in the 3rd house, it's where we communicate with our local environment, where we think, where we have all that mental activity. I'm using my hands. That's that too. Gemini, Gemini's natural area. So that immediate environment. I'll make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Yes, I am. Good job. Sometimes I forget I have the wrong screen up. So thinking, mental activity, if you have Aquarius in there, you're definitely going to be a very active mental thinking person. And it might be here to tell you that there is some thought and idea that you need to release and let go of. Again, going on to the 4th house. So if you have it in this 4th house sector, it's our nurturing place. It's our established foundations, home, family, roots, even inner security. All of that is activated with this full moon. And on those dates, remember those dates are active too. Those February 2020 and November 2020. All right, 5th house is that creative area of the chart. I serve as well. No, it should not be I serve. That was wrong. Let me see if I can get the one that's correct. I have all of these worksheets, if you're seeing, that I provide in my classes. Here we are. The 5th house I create. Yeah, I pull this off the web. The 5th house I create, so that personal creativity, romance and children, of course. But to me, it is, you know, my hobbies, my speculation, how I like to play, all of that area is asking for you to release something, so then you can allow the shift and the change to come in. All right, 6th house happens to be that where I serve, my daily life, our own self-improvement, our work environment, co-workers. Again, the things that we do every day. A full moon in that sector will highlight and show us, you know, where we would need to make changes, maybe in our work, like I said, maybe we need to make a change in our health, our daily health routines, diet, things like that. a full moon up here in the seventh house um, is going to highlight our partnerships, our awareness of other people, and also the things that the seventh house is sort of like the full moon, because it's that opposition energy from the first house, and it represents, you know, a big awareness of how it is that we need to relate and communicate to anybody that we have a partnership with. The eighth house, that's the area of transformation, our shared resources, and things like that. So when we have the full moon there, those items will be active, and those items will come to our awareness. So what in that department, that area of shared resources, and it's a financial house as well. Second and the eighth are two financial houses. You know, maybe there's something that you're needing to tie up loose ends or find a way to pay debt down. Just things like that will be highlighted. So we'll be releasing the things that aren't working, and we'll be able to spend time to focus on the things that are more important. Now, if you're going into the ninth house, which is right up here, that's that expansion area. That's Jupiter's Sagittarius' natural territory. So that is that awareness around, you know, the higher meaning of life, the higher meaning of, you know, maybe I'm going to find a way to get more education, to expand my knowledge, to travel. I'm not sure I would be doing that. I'm not a travel person, so I wouldn't be doing that by any means. I've got Capricorn in that house, and I don't like to travel much. I love the world wherever I am, and I can live with that. But this has a lot to do with the ninth house of foreign cultures, foreign lands, foreign to you. All right. So if that is up in there, that area, it could be that you're very much focused on how what's going on in the world is impacting other countries. All right. It's just one of the ways it can come through. Excuse me. If you have the full moon in your 10th house, then that career sector, it's the outer world, how the people see us, how and what we're going to achieve, what we want to achieve, and what we want to share with the world. Okay. So if that's being highlighted, Aquarius in that sector, then, you know, one of the things with your career would be, you know, it's something that's humanitarian, or something that involves groups and new knowledge, cutting edge knowledge, or knowledge that just isn't mainstream. So for me, that's where it is for me. So it's about the groups, and it's about the career. It's where it was on July 23rd for me. The next one's in the 11th house for me. So it's the groups, it's the electronics, it's online classes. And I'm going to record those classes. I have them ready, and I'm going to get them up on Teachable. So all of that will be on my website, where you can go and get the beginner classes. And I am starting another one in September. That's going to be posted before this full moon. I will have it posted on my website as well, if you want to join us in the next beginner class. All right. The last two houses. So if you do have it in the 11th house, of course, that's Aquarius's natural home. So you most likely have, sounds like you might have a natural chart. If not, no big deal. It just highlights the fact that it's all about more, again, humanitarian causes. How can I help? How can I change things? What can I do to achieve? How can I contribute to group activities? What are my goals? What are my aspirations? Those things all get stirred up with that full moon. Again, we're being made aware of whether we're doing too much. We have to let something go so we can have more time to focus on the important things. That's what the full moon's about. And the final area, if you have the full moon in the 12th house, of course, that's a very inner house. It's where we transcend the physical, where it's a very spiritual place, our dreams, but it's also solitude and institutions that, you know, and promote or are about solitude, which is, of course, hospitals and prisons, monasteries, you know, ashrams. It doesn't have to be negative. It's about Aquarius full moon in that area is about all of the inner work. And just to top all this off, again, Uranus retrograde represents doing that inner work and allowing the energy that is moving to move, because we can't hang on to it. I'm going to stop my share now. I think, yes. We can't hang on to, it's not like the structure of Saturn. Uranus is, and this Aquarius energy is wanting us to find new ways to do things and allow the old things to pass away. And again, in the world right now, we have a lot of old ways that have just come back in with a vengeance. But that means pendulum swung really far in one direction, but it'll come back to center again at some point in time. I'm not predicting when. All right, I think I'm going to leave us with that. Thank you guys. And please come to my Patreon, make a donation. That would help keep this content here free. And I love to share. And I thank you very much for your support. Blessings, everybody. Take good care. Namaste.